Alright, this week we're going to take a look at Excalibur. So I got some trade paperbacks here in the end. I believe this one was a lead up to the series. So Excalibur came out, and then we got an annual number 2. Like I said, they used to label them with the numbers, and they switched to years. You got the flashback -1 issue. Oh, I'm sorry. In case you missed any of the covers, I'll throw them up there. So we got the first issue. Now, I got these. Excalibur, you can kind of see Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, Captain Britain, Megan, and Rachel Summers, and the Phoenix from the future. They formed out of when they thought the Uncanny X-Men were dead. And then when they went in hiding in Australia, they thought they were gone, so they formed a British-based, Scotland-based group. I'm not sure if they were on Muir Island right away, but they did their own little things. Like I said, at the time, they thought the X-Men were dead, so they formed their own little group. You can see here, now they probably found out they were alive, because it ties into Inferno. Inferno was a multi-series crossover from the 80s, I think. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. So, my first, I think, 20 issues of Excalibur I got from the classified ads when I was a teenager. I found them when I first started collecting comics, and I got my dad to take me there because I was like 12, 13, and a guy was just selling his collection for really cheap. I think I spent like $60 total, and I got like the first 20 issues of Excalibur. The original Wolverine miniseries was in there. Marvel Comics Presents, which was kind of like a precursor to Wolverine's miniseries, which I'll get that. We'll go through those when I go through my Wolverine box, because I'll probably do Marvel Comics Presents at the same time. But yeah, you can kind of just see the different covers from the late 80s, early 90s. They did a lot of their own storylines, you know, also kind of self-keeping. And I don't know why it's not exactly the X-Men. So there's the first 20 issues. Let's see what we got next. These can move. What do we got now? So we got 42, yeah, see, so I end up still going back and collecting them, picking up oddballs here and there. It looks like, I don't know, I would have just been trying to fix. And then 71, this is about where I came in to concretely start buying. Fatal Attractions arc was, I think, one of the first crossover X-Men series I bought at the time. So you kind of see the growing now. In this Fatal Attractions, I believe the Phoenix had to sacrifice herself, Rachel Summers, Jean Grey's daughter, so that Captain Britain could come back as Britannic. We'll see if he shows up. But yeah, you see Mr. Sinister came in here. Oh, no, this is where, so, I don't know what their tie-in with Fatal Attractions was, but this is the one where Rachel sacrifices herself in the 75th issue. And like I said, Excalibur, this is when I started buying them right around here, so I bought these new off-the-shelf. Douglock, he will be important when it comes to the Phoenix Covenant. He was a combination of two characters, Warlock and then Doug, I think Ramsey maybe, who could translate lots of, yeah, you see the Douglock Chronicles languages. That was Doug Ramsey's power. Ooh. Professor Xavier kissing Moira McTaggart, which is weird because at the time she was dating Banshee. It was just a little oops-if thing. You see the Phoenix Covenant. This would have been the last part of Life Signs. And like I said, the various three storylines kind of led into a change in the X-Men books. Not much change for Excalibur. The Solar Sword trilogy. I remember reading it from when I was younger. Don't really remember much about it now, obviously. Like I said, trying to remember stuff from 2 decades ago. But I wanted to check out the covers. Oh, and you see we'll start having my duplicates, because of the ones I bought from the mail order, and then the ones I picked up at the actual comic book store that I had in town. Pete Wisdom, he worked for like Black Ops or Black Air, which is a British thing. His foster sister, I believe, who ended up being a magician. Yeah, see, it's still only the $1.50. You can kind of see that. That's just strange. Let's see, issue October. What issue we got here? 90. Well, that's kind of cool. So these can move over there. Oh, another issue 90. Dreams and Nails trilogy. Oh, just the same. 91. Kind of neat one. Oh, and Doug Ramsey was he was in the New Mutants too, and then he ended up dying and happened to merge with Warlock. It was very weird. Oh, and Colossus returns to Excalibur after Magneto died or whatever. He beat the pulp out of Pete Wisdom because they had been getting close to Kitty Pryde, which it was a long time. Reign, she was hanging out with the X Factor for a while. Days of Future Tense. So their own little take on the Days of Future Tense. Enter X-Man. So this would have been after the Age of Apocalypse, because X-Man was on Cable's double. A New Hellfire Club. So, you know, that was just kind of the New York one moved over to Europe. Yeah, so this was kind of a vehicle for, you can see, for Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, some of the leftovers. Ooh, leading into Onslaught. Issue 100. So yeah, an Onslaught Impact issue. Like I said, they were Europe-based, so they didn't have a lot to do. 101, Heroes Reborn. I kind of talked about that in previous videos. 102. Yeah, so... yeah, then yeah, Doug Locke did hang out with Excalibur for a while. So yeah, he was big there. Inner Demons, External Threats. Like I said, Colossus, after his little sister died, he was kind of moody, cranky. 108. 109. Spyro, she had to do with Mojo, which a lot of the earlier ones had to do with the Mojo-verse. See, I'm not sure if he went back to Captain Britain here. I'm sure he did, because Britannic was just kind of a lame thing that they did. Because he must have died earlier. Ooh, see, now we're double. I'm going to have to go out and pull out all the doubles. Make a list of what I've got. So, yeah, what's going on here? Colossus seems pretty into Excalibur now. Yeah, Pete Wisdom there. Must be an ex-girlfriend. You never call anymore. 115. Yep, you can kind of see Banshee from Generation X there. 16. 17. And 18. Oh, look how cute he is, all tiny and childlike. 119. And 120. They must be breaking up there. So that lasted for a couple years. And we got 121. Oh, Legion. He's the one who spurred off the Age of Apocalypse. That was Charles Xavier's son. Looks like the original X-Men for some reason. I'm sure that was just, you know, not the original X-Men. Mimic. Oh, he must have just met Colossus. 124. Yeah, Captain Britain's getting married. Is it to Megan, or is this a spoof? Oh, yep, see, 125. They got married. So that was a long one. Spectacular last issue. But I've still got a handful of comics, so let's see what's here. Oh, looks like they had a volume 2, which must have came out in the 2000s, so I can tell by the artwork for Cyclops. Yeah, so they must have had done a reboot. And I remember nothing from this reboot. This was shortly after I stopped collecting. Probably only go to 6 or 7. Yeah, I wonder how long the second Excalibur ran. I'd like to go through and finish out the whole entire series up to issue 8. Yeah, so that would be it for Excalibur.
Hey there, I see you have found some content from Odds and Ends by Jar. So while I got your attention, let me tell you about the types of content we have to offer. Then we have Tales from Someone Else. These videos are just short little stories I have found and I liked enough to try to narrate and share with you. Sometimes seasonal, but always fun. You should definitely take a listen. And watch too. I do some low-level animating and would love your opinions in the comments. Alrighty, thanks for listening to what we here at Odds and Ends by Jar have to offer. And who really knows what subject will pique my interest next time? Not me. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so the content pops up in your stream. Now, back to the content you were consuming.
And then, for some reason, the other series that was in this box was the Exiles. So the Exiles mainly started with Blink from the Age of Apocalypse. So, Clarice Ferguson, Blink's real name, or alternate name. She was only in the Phoenix Covenant Generation Next issues from Uncanny X-Men and X-Men, and then she died saving the Generation X team. But she got really popular in Age of Apocalypse. And then after the Age of Apocalypse ended, they wanted a way to bring her into mainline comics, and they did that with a group of Exiles, random characters from across the multiverse, which you can kind of see with everything they're doing in the MCU now, but this kind of just plopped them in. Even Morph, which, wow, how many of these do I have? 4? Yeah, even you can kind of see Morph there. He was from another, not the Age of Apocalypse universe, but a different one. Morph got big in the Age of Apocalypse as well. He wasn't really in the earlier issues. One from Uncanny X-Men in the teens, and then, yeah, nothing except the animated series from the 90s, and then they used him in Age of Apocalypse. And there's issue 2. Like I said, in the, alternate covers. The premise behind the Exiles was that they were congregated by some time god, time cop, and they're sent to other realities to fix stuff. And then occasionally one of them will disappear because they had fixed their, he's a version of the Mimic, because they had fixed that universe, and one will disappear and they'll get a new member. So it was a way for them to shuffle in other characters and give them different backstories. Like Nocturne is Kurt's daughter, Nightcrawler's daughter. Yeah, so just going through, I don't remember who she was. Yeah, first 12 issues there. You can kind of see another group of Exiles ended up showing up. See, the Blink's group did things, nicely. The other group, which you can kind of see Sabretooth was there. He was friends with Blink in the Age of Apocalypse, and she had a soft spot for him. But his group did things more violent. So you kind of see the good guys and the bad guys. And then they would sometimes end up in the same universe and kind of fight with each other on how to handle the resolution for that universe so they could go on to the next one. That's what I remember. And like I said, late 90s, early 2000s. But just like dimension hopping, kind of like Quantum Leap, maybe. You know, put right what went wrong, or maybe even Sliders. I think that was it. So Blink was a pretty stable character. Others would come and go. She had like the time talisman on her wrist. But she eventually would be freed, but she didn't have a universe to go back to because the Age of Apocalypse was kind of truncated. I believe Gambit ended up being on one of the teams as well, a different version of Gambit. But then she ended up coming back after the talisman transferred itself to issue 25. So that was kind of cool. 26, Ileana, Rasputin. He, obviously from a different universe where she was still the demonish named Magic. Yeah, and we just keep going. They did end up, after a time, crossing over with the main 616 X-Men. This may have been that issue, may have been a different one. But, yeah, it was just a crossover where they meant different versions. By that time, they're all used to being different versions of themselves. Always happening. But it was a cool crossover. Kind of where Angel got his big sword from. I'm not sure what was with the Avengers Forever title. I do have a mini-series called Avengers Forever, or maybe X-Men Forever. I'm not sure if I got the Avengers Forever one. But like I said, it would bring in other characters here and there, just as a spotlight for whose universes ended. Like I said, it was a fun series. I don't know if I collected all the way to the end. I'll have to look, because if I didn't, that'd be one I'd be interested in finalizing someday, once I start making money again. King Hyperion, can't remember what he was. He's not the Sentry. He was, kind of used as a stand-in for Superman, but he was all kind of a butthole. You know, he was the evil Superman before the evil Superman was, you know, a thing. Nocturne's Tale, yeah, so find a little bit more about her. A Blink in Time. Like I said, I loved Blink. Such a cool character design, cool way they brought her up. The fact that she was nothing in the main Marvel universe, just, you know, a flash in the pan die, and then she became so popular out of the Age of Apocalypse. Oh, we're closing, and the covers were just cool. You know, we got to see different characters, different way. Impossible Man, Morph. And there's the 50th issue, and 51. So those look very similar, just kind of alternate. So that's kind of neat. Then we go to 52. Yeah, I believe that's the Chronal Talisman for the leader of the team. It would help fill them in with what they needed to do. Yeah, I'll have to check to see when Exiles ended. Bump in the Night, that's a cool cover. Yeah, all the way up to 57. That's it. I'll check to see when that ended. The only other thing I kind of would want to show would be this cool one. Yeah, sorry, I had to go dig it out of a box. Look at that. I got this. You can kind of see the price tag there for $2.99. But, yeah, I got this obviously when it was on sale, but maybe Big Lots, maybe KB Toys. But, yeah, I ended up with a couple of them. I think I opened one originally and ended up going away. But I'm not opening this one for obvious reasons. But, yeah, really thought she was a cool character. But that is it for my video today. So, as always, share, like, subscribe, comment, let me know if you're enjoying these this is my series. Otherwise, take care, keep safe.